What are the things to look out for in an electoral campaign? For those of you who've been following the videos, I'm sure you've realized by now that I usually stay away from political issues. Not because I'm an ostrich and I'm burying my head in the sand, but because I realize that these are really contentious issues. And once you open up the Pandora's box, there's no way to put the nice, tidy lid on it. And sometimes these conversations can go on and on and on and end up being very, how do I put it? Let me just say impolite, for lack of a better word. And since I don't like partaking in those sorts of interactions, at least on forums such as this, such as public media, I usually keep my opinion to myself. But I'm beginning to find now that there are some issues that we can all agree on, kind of in principle, without any need for rancor. And one of them, which I hope to shed some light on today, it would be what should constitute a good electoral campaign, or what are the things that you should be keeping an eye out for in an election campaign. Now, it'll be hard to answer these issues in the very this question in a very blanket sense. So I'm going to try and make it very particular. Now, I don't think it would be wrong to look at election campaigns in a very selfish way. That's to ask yourself the simple question: what's in it for me? Now, I'm not advocating that you look at it in terms of naira and kobo, but perhaps in the sense of the greater good or the social good as it relates directly to you. For instance, a classmate of mine from secondary school is currently running for the House of Reps under the Social Democratic Party for Nasarawa State. I think Akwanga constituency. I think that's it. Now, in a few interactions with him, I get the sense that one of the key drivers behind his campaign is that he's worried that for people from our own side, that's Benue State, Nasarawa, Taraba, those sorts of areas, that we're rich in resources, but somehow, uh, somehow as a people and as a state, we seem to pay attention to what's going to come from the national coffers. So for him, a key policy directive would be trying to find ways to make sure that we harness the resources that we have at home and put them to good use. So if we were in Benue State, that would be agricultural resources. And for people in his own state, Nasarawa State, and from his own constituency and his own village, that would be the mineral resources, the stones and other things that they have there. So in that case, looking at it from that perspective, what's in it for me? If you are someone from his own constituency, trying to develop the local economy by making sure we find a way to tap into this industry concerning minerals and stones and things like that, then I guess that would not be such a bad election campaign. So, to answer the question, what is a good election campaign? It depends on your own circumstance, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to look at yourself and your closest social circumstances and ask yourself, what's in it for me? And once you start finding answers to that question, you'll be able to track it up to what a good election campaign is. Now, the reason why I think we should be paying attention to this as we move into an election year is just so that we don't get sidetracked by all these other issues, even though these issues are important, but I don't think they should become the hallmark of campaigns the way they do. Region, religion, and things like that. So those matters are important. I'm not going to brush them aside, but I believe that we should start elevating the discourse. Now, for those of you who would want to know on a personal level what I think a good election campaign would be, or what I'll be looking forward to in leaders for the future, I would hope that the idea of party supremacy would catch on in Nigeria, because it's become clear from our past experience with the way that people hop from one party to another and the sorts of calculations that take place when people are running for office, that there's no sense of allegiance to any particular party philosophy. And so that's the idea that I would hope would take root in the near future, this idea of party supremacy. And in fact, I think it's an idea that has a long time coming, um, especially since we've seen a wave of defections one way, and looks like we're going to see a wave of defections another way. So, as we move on to the election year, let's try and keep an eye out. Um, let's try and keep an eye out for what the good issues that we should pay attention to. Okay, that's it. I'll stop there for now.